Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bull City Pioneers podcast. My name is Hector.
My name is Luis.
And today we have another guest and I'm really excited for this one.
Oh yeah.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Mballa. I am a singer, songwriter, rapper, based in North Carolina right now. Originally from Yaoundé, Cameroon. Well, no, my family is originally from there, but I grew up in Washington, D.C., so, yeah.
Were you born there or were you born in the States?
I was born in Paris, France.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
You were there for very long though, right?
No, because I came to the U.S. when I was like 3 or 4, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What took you to Paris?
My dad was a diplomat. He was,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Military,
Yeah, my dad was a diplomat. He was ambassador of Cameroon, but he was actually ambassador of Cameroon at the time to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they were in the middle of a civil war.
Wow.
And so our family got evacuated, and he had to stay and work. And so when we got evacuated, we went to Paris.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool though. But you get to travel back and forth.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, but I was so young that I just didn't even know that was going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us how this music thing started for you?
Yeah, it's like so cliche, but it's like in my family, I guess. My brother was in like a rap group when the rap group name was Elite 96. So it was like in 96.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And so I was like a baby, but they just like kept with the name, and so I would be like 2 or 3 years old, like at their rehearsals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so when he realized that he didn't like to rap, he started to manage. So in elementary school, I would just kind of like watch how he was managing artists and like the decisions that he would make and everything that it entailed, and I would be at their rehearsals and be at all their stuff, and I just kind of ingested a lot of it that way. And him being my older brother, I always kind of wanted to find common ground with him. So just like I would research a lot of music, specifically hip hop and R&B. And it would just be like, I was almost like I would brief him on like the state of music things, you know what I mean? And that was like, and I just realized like I had a huge liking for music, obviously, but also for the industry. And, I have a rich cultural background, and that kind of brings with it like music, in itself, and a lot of celebrating and things like that. So music was always super duper involved, and with my family traveling so much, the things that they brought with them every time was music, obviously. And I have 3 older brothers and an older sister, so I never got to choose what I was listening to. It was like, all right, so I guess today I'm doing Rough Riders, and today I'm doing whatever. And then when I got into my own music, it was all like boy bands and stuff. So I had like kind of like a big selection. I was everywhere. So and I think in my heart, like I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write songs, but I never really had the balls to do it, and I went to college and I did all the right things. And
it seems like that statement gets less and less like real as time goes by, right?
Yeah. So when I was in college, I started managing. I don't know if you guys heard of Danny Blaze.
Yeah.
So he was in a duo before called The Coolest, and I was managing The Coolest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was managing The Coolest, so he's like my bestie. And then he went solo, and so I was like managing him for a little bit, and then we, kind of did his own thing. But I was also an artist at the time now when he went solo, so it was just a situation where it was like not, it was like harder, more time consuming, and so we just kind of naturally just kind of did our own thing, and that's how I got into music. I connected with Will Wildfire, who's in Charlotte.
He sounds familiar.
Yeah. So he recorded my first. He recorded my first song that I was like proud of. That I was like, okay, the world can hear this, I guess. Like,
was that the?
It's called Bad Decisions.
Bad Decisions. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was the Boomerang one.
Oh, but he did that one too.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yeah. He produced that one too, and did some writing on that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, I've been listening to some of your music, and what you have to say is really like really phenomenal and interesting,
awesome.
and I feel like we can, especially on the one song "Illegal" that you wrote. I feel like we could relate on to a certain extent because we were also like immigrants. Me and him came from Honduras, and we when I heard that song, I'm like, girl, you better say it. You better like, I'm feeling this shit right now. But yeah, I'm really liking that song. Where did that
come from? That came from me being undocumented for 8 or 9 years, and it was kind of like an unexpected turn of events, I think, for me, just because, you know, my father was a diplomat, and I always had, you know, like normal status, you know what I mean? And then he became a political prisoner, and he retired, and like, so, you know, his status was no longer protecting me, but I was here, and I needed to go through school, and I grew up here. Yeah. So it was like, what, like, me going to Cameroon, like, it was kind of like crazy, like, you know, it was like, what, like, I don't know anybody there. Like, yes, I'm fluent in French, but it's just like a complete culture shock. You know what I mean? This was home, you know. So it came from that, and then it came also from I was working at this place that was, you know, I learned a lot there or whatever, but at the same time, it was me kind of being the like only person of color in this place, and I would work, and I was working there for 3 years, and I would go to work every day and never see a person of color, and there would be like, you know, police shootings and all of these things, and it was just really at the height of that, the Black Lives Matter movement, and I would go to work and nobody cared, you know, it was like not a topic of conversation, everyone was unbothered. So it was a thing that just kind of had me like, okay, like, ooh, I really want to speak up about this because it affects me, and I have brothers, and I have myself, and, you know, all of this stuff, but at the same time, I'm undocumented, and so like the stakes are this much higher for me if I start like protesting, and you know what I mean. So it was kind of like,
gave you a voice.
Exactly. So I had to find a way to kind of like say what I wanted to say, and speaking about being a person of color, but speaking about being a woman of color, and also being undocumented, all at the same time. So that's really where illegal came from, and it was a thing where, you know, people were saying like illegal, and it was like, okay, well, that's like not PC, like you can't say that, you know. That's not like how we address human beings.
People don't want to hear that, yeah.
You know,
sometimes you gotta say what people don't want to hear.
But it was also kind of like me saying like, well, you're treating us illegally, you know, you're calling people illegal immigrants, but really these are the people that you're treating illegally. So that's where kind of the lyrics came from, like, you know, it was just like almost like flipping it, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Okay. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. Do you think that since you, your origin, do you think that your origin, beat-wise, of course, not lyric-wise, but beat-wise, do you think your origin has skewed you to use to produce, well, then again, you don't produce your own music, but...
Not yet.
Not yet. Never mind. That's the question is kind of irrelevant. But when you do start producing your own beats, do you think that your culture is gonna be a big influence? Like, do you think Afrobeat?
It's funny you say that, because I'm very. I think it's like I have a knowledge of that type of music. I'm not an expert, and I have not found a partner on that front. So I'm like kind of looking there, because I do want to experiment there, and I have this like sample folder of like all of these songs that I grew up listening to that I just love, and I would love to kind of interpolate. So absolutely. So but with that being said, I think that a lot of people know me as being choosing beats that are super duper percussion heavy for like my latest music. Which is like Illegal was kind of like the first display of that, because I had been like dying to like, no, I like drums and I like them to hit hard. And the way that song even came about, I remember I tweeted, I said, you know, don't send me pretty beats, don't send me R&B beats. Like, I want to be on songs that like, serious. That that's like your rapper, your favorite rapper would rap on. Send me that, and I want to sing on that. And so that like Pat saw that, and he hit me up, and that's how we kind of started talking about working together. And I think, yeah, that kind of really like sparked things for me, but that's always the style that I wanted to get into. And I think that comes from, yes, my culture, but also my like affinity for hip hop.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that on you got interviewed on K97.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that. About how you don't want those pretty beats.
I know, the pretty beats.
Like, you said something along the lines of like you said that you want something that catches people's attention. Like you want the lyrics to catch them, but you want the beat to catch them.
Yeah, I think it's like a thing where people like they. Sometimes I think in my experience so far in music, it sometimes feels like people don't want to listen sometimes to what you're saying if you're a woman, you know. And that comes from, I think, more my experience as a manager than anything else. And that doesn't mean, I don't mean that in terms of like, you know, Danny. I mean that in terms of like when I would do things on his behalf, sometimes it was hard to get people's attention because it was just like, oh, well, you know, she's a woman. Does she really know what she's doing here? Like, and I just kind of picked up on that like a lot. So I was like, okay, well, and then when I would sing, it would kind of be like they would expect me to be like sweet and docile and cute and whatever.
That's not it.
Yeah, and I was like, no. And then, you know, some guys have this thing where they're just like, oh, this is cool, but I don't listen to R&B, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna put this hard beat right behind it, and you're gonna listen to it, you know, regardless. So that's where that came from.
Yeah. No, that was what I was gonna mention. Like I just think it's still like it's just so crazy how I think that we're so far, like it's 2018, we're still like having problems with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With like having to treat or expect these things from women the way we do.
Double standards.
And immigrants and Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And like we're so like we're progressing, but at the same time we're going backwards. So
because people have internalized it. You know what I mean? It's so hard to like shake people from things that they like have been like, you know, trained to believe. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And these devices make it even harder too, because it's in your face the whole time.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes it helps too because it's like a source of
tool.
Information. Sometimes
it's a tool.
So it's like a gift and a curse. Definitely.
Now, did some of those inspirations or let's talk about that actually.
What?
Other than like your previous experiences with like your being around your brother and all this music always around you, what artists actually like inspired you, if any, to make the music that you do?
Inspired me to make the music that I think I would say I have a thing about like cool girls. So like Eve, who was a rapper in the Rough Riders, I really liked her, and like Missy Elliott. I liked Beyonce, Destiny's Child Beyonce, T-Boz in TLC, Lisa Left Eye, obviously. Like, it was always, there was just a thing about, like, cool girls that always just got my attention, that were just kind of, like, defying everything. Aaliyah, you know, so, like, I think those are really my people who inspired me and made me like, okay, like I want to do this. That's what I would say.
Did any of them make it to this wall that you have?
Well, given that I found all of these on the street, they have not made it here yet. But when, you know, the music starts really paying the bills, I will get all the vinyls that I really want.
Get a big old shelf for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a player for those?
No, this is literally like I was walking down 9th Street, and they have a bookstore, and they had just like a bunch of records.
The Regulator bookstore?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, and they had a bunch of just like records like out on the street, like about to toss them out, like basically pick these up if you want to. And I was like, well, I am moving into an apartment, and I really want like, you know, like my house to speak to the fact that I make music, and I want it to be a space where
it's part of you.
I feel good. So I mean, but I don't even have like any artists that I listen to per se on here, but what I like is that a lot of these have the record label on them.
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of like a vision board. You know what I mean? Like there's RCA on here, there's Capitol Records on here, Warner Brothers, Columbia.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So RCA.
You think any of these will go pretty high on Amazon or something? No.
Maybe. But should I say that? Am I gonna like find these missing now that I've like drawn my house?
So one thing that I'm like kind of excited. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it, but I saw that you're gonna be performing at Hopscotch this year.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yes.
And the fact that you're opening for Miguel.
Yeah, it's the Red Hat stage with Miguel.
That is
Division,
awesome.
and
That is really cool.
That's
How does that make you feel?
You know, I don't. It hasn't sunk in. That's the thing for me. Sometimes it doesn't sink in until.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to promote the event real quick? Just tell
us. Come to Hopscotch, get your tickets. Come to the main stage because that's where I'll be with Miguel. So September 7th. Make sure you're out there. Time? I don't know. I don't even know the time.
What day of the week is that? Is that like a?
I think it's a Friday.
Oh, okay.
Cool. I think it's a Friday. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just starting to gather my thoughts and my everything for that. Because
so how was that moment when they told you that you're gonna be opening for him? How were you?
Well, you know what? I didn't even. It didn't register because I knew I was doing Hopscotch, and that was like, oh, I'm doing Hopscotch, yay! And do I remember the day I found out I was doing Hopscotch? I do remember that day. I got an email, and I think I was at work. And I was just like, ooh, I wanted this email for so long. And and I thought that I was going to have to send my press kit and do a whole bunch of stuff. And I didn't have to do any of that. They contacted me. So I was just like, okay, this is great. And generally when they have local acts on Hopscotch, it's a side stage, like a baby stage. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, that's just going to be what it is. At least I'm on the festival. It's not a big deal, whatever. I'm happy. It's progress, And I was just kind of chill about it. And one day I was like, okay, well maybe I should start figuring out exactly what I'm going to do. And it was right before I was leaving, and I wanted to be able to be leaving for my brother's wedding in Cameroon. And I wanted to be thinking about it. Okay, well what am I going to do? And so I was like, well, let me just at least find out what day it is. Actually, you know what? I wanted to go to a festival that is in Atlanta. I forgot what the name of the festival is, but it's in Atlanta.
While you were in Cameroon?
No. It's the same. It's within 1 or 2 days of Hopscotch. Okay. And it's so I wanted to know what day I was performing because I wanted to know if I was going to be able to make it to that festival. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, hey, do you know when I'm going to be performing? Can I have some details? And they're like, oh yeah, we have you on a 3-person stage with Miguel and Division. And I kind of just didn't read it, and I was like, oh, whoa, cool. And
it didn't process.
Because I was at work, so it was just kind of oh, okay. And then Mir from the radio station, from K97.5, she texted me. It was all caps, and she said Red Hat. And it when I saw that, I was like, Mir is texting me, so maybe I need to think about this. Why would she lose it? And I was like, hold on a second. And I was like, the Red Hat Amphitheater. Oh my goodness. Wow. And then I remembered the email, and I was like, 3 people on that stage. And I was like, wait a second. And then I was like, well, how does she know? Yeah. So then I go on Instagram. And it's everywhere. And it's just the first names on the flyer. And I'm just like, what on this earth? How did I even? It was crazy. I'm still just because I was thinking in my head okay, well when I publicize this to people, I'm gonna say I'm same festival as Miguel, but I was I wasn't expecting to
Yeah, but that's still awesome though.
Yeah.
That's something for
that's major. So tell us about. You've seen the management world. You've seen the music industry. Mm-hmm. How do you get those type of connections to get there? How do you get to that point where you're at right now?
I've never been asked this question. I think that for me, being in management gave me a lot more like gall to be fearless, because I didn't ever want to seem like I was being like I wasn't being pushy for myself. You know, it was like, oh well, somebody else has put their career and their life in my hands, and I have to make things happen. And so I have to like go like
grind.
you know, do things and make them look good and like study, and you know, so it was just I was doing all of that, and a lot of those relationships that I fostered during that time are things that I was able to kind of you know pull into what I was doing, because they already saw that, you know, I was professional and I, you know, worked hard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when I started doing music, which that was a surprise to everyone, because I just kind of like just dropped a music video out of nowhere, and they're like, wait a second, isn't this like the coolest manager? Like what's going on? Like I like had a whole operation, like I recorded it, shot a music video, and like what I dropped was the whole video, and so it was, people were just like, what? Like so when I did that, yeah, I think it just comes from also like pushing yourself, you know what I mean? Because I did that, but I had never performed live on a stage ever in my life. And in studying, you know, I learned like artists who don't perform die, you know what I mean? You have to perform. I was like, okay, well, how do I conquer this fear that I have of being in front of like 1,000 gajillion people? And I kind of just, if I just made a deciding like a rule, and I was like, if it terrifies me, then I have to do it.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Every time it was scary, or I felt like, oh my goodness, I cannot do this, I'm like, okay, I have to do it. Yeah. Like that was the like thing. So, and I was like, I don't want to perform.
There's no option.
One thing that I like learned, or I try to tell myself at least when I remember about it, is like somewhere like a study says that like the feelings of being nervous and the feelings of excitement in the brain are like the same exact, like the same, it's stimulated in the same locations. So like to trick yourself and be like,
I'm not nervous, I'm excited.
Nervous, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Or do something like that.
But now I have this thing where like I'm pretty good at blocking off like emotions that could inhibit me, so I don't
that's good.
Yeah, so but the thing is, it's just like, but then it hits me all at once. So like on September 7th,
stage?
No. Right before. So September 7th, like I'm going to be a mess. Like I'm fine right now. Like I'm like, oh.
Do you think maybe it's because you're just like not thinking of it?
Yeah, I think that's what I do, so that I don't get nervous long term. Like I just, you know, and then the day comes and I'm like, okay. Like I was a mess. Like when I was opening for Cooley High, I was just a mess. I apologize. Everybody who had to deal with me that day, I'm so sorry. I was just, I don't know, and I hope I've learned from that experience, and that's not how the 7th will go. It probably won't be, because I don't want to do it that way. But
are they touring right now?
Are they? I don't know.
I haven't met them.
I don't know if they're touring right now. I don't know. I mean, I know they're performing. Yeah. They're performing. I know they just dropped a really dope video. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yo.
Hopefully I can get the day off at work.
Okay. No, definitely come to Hopscotch, because I'm like, yes, I'm gonna
I think
have something special
on there as well. And
yes, Nance is on it. Young Bull is on it.
Yeah.
I think it's Nance, Young Bull, and me are doing Hopscotch.
Now, are you gonna plan to go to the Dreamville Fest as well? I think that's in September as well.
Oh yeah, I want to go to that. I definitely want to go to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Question? Shoot, it's a good question. I was curious about it. It was about management.
Now, which one do you like better, like being a music artist, or which one did you like better, or managing?
Ooh.
You like both worlds, or?
Well, I like both worlds. I do. I love both worlds, but I like to write songs.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like.
Have you dipped your fingers back into it a little bit?
Into management. Well, I manage myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have management, so.
Yeah.
my own manager, which, you know, I fully understand why I need somebody else to be managing me, because it's just like, it's a lot to think about. Like, even when I did my own show, it was just kind of like, okay, like, I have to, like, talk to the venue, I gotta do this, I gotta plan the show, I gotta pick the outfits, I gotta do this, I gotta, you know, find the videographer, the photographer, like, all of that was stuff that I had to do. So it was just like, okay, like, I would benefit from having somebody, even if I chose the people, I would benefit from having somebody, you know, handle all the interactions and things like that. Yeah, and like paying the artists and, you know, paying myself and just like remembering like, oh, I need to cover my costs first. Like, you know, things like that are just things that get lost in the adrenaline,
the process,
in the process. Even though I know what to do, it just like becomes a lot. Like, oh, I need to go get merch. I need to go. You know what I mean? And it's like all of that is like it's one, two hands doing that. So.
I can relate for sure, because I also have like my own clothing brand too, and it's a lot, because like I have to worry about this, I have to worry about so like it's just bouncing back and forth, so many things. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from that. I think I was gonna say.
What does your family think about? What do they think of? I mean, because you know your dad is a diplomat, so
or was
a former diplomat. What did they think when you went into school for management?
Well, I went to school for journalism.
Journalism, okay.
And that was just kind of like, well, I gotta go to school. So, and I'm good at writing, so I guess I'll just do journalism kind of thing. So, I mean, so what did they think when I went to school for journalism?
Journalism, or when you shifted to like management and music, yeah, because I mean, you would kind of expect, you know, your parents probably expected you to do something, you know, more, I guess, school related.
Yeah, like traditional. Well, so my dad, he actually passed prior to me starting music, so he has no idea. Well, no, he's watching, and I feel like he sent me some signs. My mom, she like is one of those moms that is like, don't do this, don't do that. And then when you do it and it's good, she's like, oh my God, look at my baby. Like, so, exactly. So that's exactly what it was. It was just like, no, go become a doctor. And then I dropped my video and she like started like a mass email, you know, thing. So that's kind of how that is. I think my brother was not surprised, because they know, I mean,
it's in the family.
Well, I think, and I always was like singing in the house and stuff, so I don't think that he was ever surprised. I think that nobody knew I was gonna do it. You know what I mean? People thought I was like just gonna follow my school career path. You know what I mean? Nobody thought, okay, she's just gonna like drop a music video, like. So I really surprised everybody when I did that. So.
Do you mind giving us like a sneak peek? We know that you have this event coming up, but after the event, in the big picture, what you know, can we get a sneak peek or?
What you got going on?
After Hopscotch.
Yeah.
So.
Sneak peek. If you're
or like just like music that you have in the works. Or something. Have anything
yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm working on a second project. So I haven't. So here's the kicker. I think the thing that's like, people are like, how. I think for me, it's like, how is this happening, even though, like, I've recorded my first project, I've finished my first project, I have physical copies of my first project, but I've not released it digitally.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So sometimes I, will get these shows, and I'm like, I don't know how they're hearing this music, but okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny.
So I plan on doing that before Hopscotch. And I think that's the like artist like anxiety, like, oh my God, I gotta release this to the world, you know. Like, are people gonna like it? Are they gonna support it? Are they gonna show their friends, you know? And then so but I've already started work, like months ago I had already started working on the project that's coming after after Never Leave Quietly, is the name of the first one. So after Never Leave Quietly, I'm working on some stuff. And then people have always wanted me to do covers, and I kind of have not wanted to. And then
might test it out a little bit.
Yeah, so lately I'm just like, I've
picking and choosing which songs.
I've done some covers.
Cool.
I did some cool covers, and I'm gonna let the world hear those too.
Oh, so you haven't put up any?
No. No.
Oh man.
Just keeping it original.
Yes, I get so anxious, you know, because I do feel like I have a very unique style, and I'm still, you know, I'm still relatively kind of a baby when it comes to this like music thing. You know what I mean? A lot of my the people who I know who have done hopscotch, you know, have been doing music for like 10 years or more, you know, prior. So like sometimes I just get almost like imposter syndrome, and I'm just like, oh my god, am I supposed to be doing this?
But I feel like the way you cope with that is that you're true to your own music.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that artists nowadays have to be, or like people will sniff that out really easily now. It's like the ones who are just like bullshitting and not really serious about what they do.
Yeah.
But like you're true to your music, and you can hear that through the song, through the words of your music.
Yeah.
You can hear that like you're trying to tell these people something, and that's one thing that you gotta stick to too. And I really like about what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
You can tell you're a hard worker because you know you said you have, you know, friends or coworkers that have been doing music for 10 years. You've only been doing it for 3, but you're with them doing
so you're,
you know,
like,
their type of projects, you know.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, you know.
I mean, I'm just grateful, and I think that the reality is like I probably couldn't. I'm not gonna say couldn't, but I give them a lot of credit for me being in this situation. I think just because me taking it seriously meant that when I was working with them, I did like study a lot of what they were doing. You know, they would give me really good pointers, and I would internalize them and apply them and things like that. So the part that I think of my personal struggle as an artist right now is just being okay with like releasing it to the world and like opening myself up to the criticism for the times where maybe it's not, you know, what they wanted it to be, or you know what I mean? Things like that. And then also just like we're in the age where people just want things like fast now. So it's just like, oh, I have all this music.
You gotta be on it all the time.
It's like I have all this music, but I know that all it would take would be for me to release it, but from the management side of things, I like to like package it before I give it to you. And sometimes like coming up with the packaging of it and the reasoning behind it and stuff like that, sometimes that kind of like takes time. And the time that takes, sometimes it comes off as like, is she gonna drop music soon? And then you're like, oh no, I have the music. I'm just thinking. Like, that was the thing that my dad used to say, because he used to talk so slow, and I would just be sitting there like, spit it out. And he was like, I'm a human, I'm not a machine, you know, so I have to think before I speak. And that's how I feel as an artist. It's like that's
cool.
Yeah, it's like I'm an artist, not a machine, so I want to think before I give you something. I want to package it before I give it to you. Or
for sure.
I don't like just like letting things go, you know what I mean, just to like stay on top of the hype or whatever, you know what I mean? I wanted to feel like something like
deeper connection.
So
okay.
And maybe that's where the covers come in, where I can just kind of like
do whatever,
have some fun and let people have things, and then I can still work on my own stuff like while I'm putting those out.
We're looking forward to those.
Sooner than you think. I want to start doing those in like a week or 2.
Oh, okay. So wait,
pretty
soon.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that. Okay. So I guess to kind of just start wrapping up a little bit, what we like to do on the podcast when we have a guest on, to finish off the episode, we like to ask the guest if they can leave a question for the audience, something that may be piquing their interest, something they've been thinking about lately, or just any question.
A question for the audience?
And they'll leave that answer to the question in your social media or wherever they can.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition, since you did say that you speak French, you want to leave like an inspirational quote in French? Or
cool.
Inspirational quote in French.
Or something, you know.
I have not read a French book in like 2 years.
Or anything you want to come up with, or, you know.
Okay, wait. So let me think about my question first.
Go ahead.
My question for the audience. How do you discover music?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
How do you,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How do you get introduced to music? And French inspirational quote. French people are like really cynical, so like the things that I have are like not inspirational.
Is that why you said that?
Yeah, I was like, I want to test her out real quick.
It's like I don't know if the quotes are inspirational. They're like more like.
Or it was with the phrase like hard work or.
Oh wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think really quick.
And don't tell us what it means. We'll see what translation in the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Oh, okay. You guys want to translate it? Okay. I'm trying to think of like a good one, like, or maybe even a popular one, but obviously because I need it right now, it's like not coming to me. I will say. La vie est dure et sans confiture.
Alright, I took 3 years of French. I think I'm out of. I think I'm out of.
Life.
Life is hard. Can you repeat it?
Confiture. Is that like? It's not like. I don't know
Yeah,
what that is.
You were about to say it.
Confiture.
You were about to say it.
I don't know.
You were saying it.
I don't know. It's like because it sounded like jam.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh really?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. But I was like, I might be wrong.
That's it.
I was thinking like jelly, like the confiture.
That's it.
Okay. Cool. Life is hard like jam.
It's sans confiture, so and without jam or jelly.
Oh, okay.
So it's like an expression.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like.
Bruh.
That was good. We
were right there too.
When you said I was like, he got it.
I was like,
Bruh. Okay, so life is. Wait.
Life is hard with no jam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
No
All right.
jam,
We're still
no
gonna
jelly.
translate it.
And so like my dad always used to say that when I would be like, oh, that's unfair, or you know what I mean, like, how come da 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 da, and he'd be like, life is hard with that. And in French, it's like, you know, it's like hard toast, you know what I mean? But it's like there's no jam or jelly to make it go down.
Yeah.
And also like a lot of French people don't eat like loaves of bread. It's like baguettes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and those like get really crispy and you know what I mean? So it's like it's hard when there's no jam.
I like that.
So it just
it
doesn't go down easy and you just gotta deal.
3 years of French paid off.
Yeah, right.
You took 3 years too, right?
Yeah, I took 3 years too.
Yeah.
But I really.
You guys speak Spanish?
Yeah, we speak Spanish.
We're more fluent in that, so.
Yeah.
Well, I see like all of my best friends because I went to an international high school.
Oh wow.
So it was either high school, middle school, and elementary school.
What school was that?
The Washington International School.
Wow.
So it was there were 2 classes and it was like you did English and French or English and Spanish or English and Dutch.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so all of my friends were on the Spanish side. So like obviously
you have a little bit. Learned a little bit.
So when I was trying to take Spanish here, you in 6th grade is when they introduce you to your 3rd language. So I signed up for Spanish, but it was full.
Oh.
So I took Japanese. So I have 4 years of Japanese.
Dang, that's tough though.
I have an older half brother who taught himself how to speak Chinese.
Oh whoa,
he,
that's crazy.
Himself. I'm like, he comes over sometimes. And he starts like saying all his stuff. I'm like, oh
no. I took 4 years of Japanese, so I like.
That's cool. You still remember a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you put a phrase together? No, I'm not gonna do that too.
I mean, I can.
Yeah, and
I can read it.
Yeah,
but I
can't. We won't be able to translate that. Even with the help of Google.
No, I can read because they have 3 alphabets.
So I can
Shoot. It's crazy. Well, and one of them is like the Chinese alphabet, really. But so they have katakana, hiragana, and kanji. So I can read katakana and hiragana.
Okay.
Cannot read kanji because kanji is like it's like you know, words are symbols. It's not the alphabet. It's like this means house.
And if
you know what I mean?
One little mark is something different.
It's something completely different. So I never picked up on that because I'm just like there's so many words. Like what? How can this is crazy.
I'm loving this culture mix, man. You got all of this, you know. We got Africa. We got the African continent.
Oh my
Asia,
goodness! Look at you. Thank you.
Hispanic.
Oh yeah. Okay. You understand.
Yes, yeah, you got it. Yeah. But you had a thought.
Oh, I was supposed to. Oh, I can just introduce myself.
Okay,
it's
go
like
ahead.
an easy.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
I mean, anything you will say in Japanese, I think will sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Ohayou gozaimasu. Namae wa watashi wa Mballa desu.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's cool.
I don't want to sound too ignorant, but in Cameroon, you speak French. So yeah. Is there like a dialect of French, or is it like kind of like pure French?
So it's pure French. I mean, we obviously have like our own accent. It's pure French, and then we have like, let me stop making up numbers, but I'm gonna say we have more than 200 dialects, but they're not French dialects. They're
like native.
Yeah, native languages.
Do you know any?
I
know. Right there.
I speak my dialect about as well as I speak Japanese.
Oh, okay.
So I can greet.
Yeah. Okay.
I know all the curse words, like things like that, things like that. But I can't have a whole conversation. But it's like a joke. Every time I'm there and I'm with family who speaks the dialect, I'll just interject with random
cuss words.
Yeah, just random the few words that I know, and
it's cool.
And so the first 10 seconds they're like, oh, you speak, and then after a minute they're like,
no,
what are you saying?
That's so funny. Oh man.
That's
great.
Well, we had a lot of fun with this episode. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you guys for coming.
And also, where can we find the plug?
Oh. Streaming services everywhere. In August especially. Wink, wink, wink.
Okay.
Wink, wink, wink. But you can find and then YouTube. I have several videos out on YouTube that you can check out.
Strictly music.
Strictly music.
Okay.
Oh well, no. I mean, I have a mini doc.
Older stuff.
Yeah, okay. I have a mini doc on there. I have some live performances on there that you can see. I have a YouTube channel you should subscribe to for certain. And then follow me on Instagram at first name Mballa. That's FIRST. Name Mballa is MBALLA.
Is your YouTube linked in the Instagram or?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. Click the link in the bio.
Do that for us.
That'll take you to the illegal video, but then you'll be on my channel and you can see everything else.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys can leave the answer to that question. What was it again? How do you guys find music?
Yes.
How do you do that for us in her DM? Also, you can leave it in our DM or hers, but we would really appreciate it if you guys did that for us. Okay? I would really love for you guys to do that. Thank you guys for watching. We love all the support that you guys give to the podcast. Also, email us over at BullCityPioneers@gmail.com for any comments, concerns, inquiries, or whatever that you may need or want to know about the podcast, and let us know what you guys think of the podcast. We always love feedback. We want to know more about what you guys want to see on the podcast. Thank you once again, Mballa, for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So formal.
And we will see you on the next one. Peace out.